Mr. Speaker, I'm about to seek leave to table some documents, but I think I need to raise the context first. The rules surrounding the release of Cabinet papers entitle former members of Cabinet to access those Cabinet papers, but they don't entitle us to release those documents, and that has to be determined by the Government under the Official Information Act. The Prime Minister yesterday referred to two Cabinet papers in attacking the opposition and didn't release them, and it's now my intention to seek leave to table those two documents, but I want to alert you to this issue so that you can consider whether it is within the power of Parliament to order the release of those documents.
This is an important point of order, and I wish to hear it.
And you might want to take other contributions from the House before you determine that, but it's an important point, I think, that needs to be determined before I seek that leave.
Can I just clarify with the member raising the point of order? He is saying to me that by convention he has no rights as a former minister to table that. Can I just have that clarified by the member?
No, I'm not saying that, sir. My understanding is that Parliament's in control of its own destiny. The difficulty that the opposition has is that we were attacked with these papers. We haven't got the right to release them. I would like them to be released. I don't think there's any public interest that serves their not being released. But I just, because it is slightly unusual, want to seek some confirmation that indeed Parliament is in charge of its own destiny here.
I'll hear from the Honourable Simon Bridges.
Well, I think there's 2 points at least on this relatively complex matter, Mr. Speaker. I think the first is the precedent effect. It was create, I think, a very bad precedent where suddenly any member could table or at least seek to table Cabinet papers of former governments, and I think actually as much as for the opposition as for the government that would be truly unfortunate. I think secondly there is a very proper process to go through on these papers outside of this place that needs to be gone through.
Can I just, before I make a ruling on this, clarify, is the member going to seek leave to table the papers now, or is the member intending to ask us further supplementary?
Papers here, sir, and I intend to seek leave to table. They can, of course, refuse leave, but I think I'm entitled to put it.
And I think the best way forward is exactly that. The member's attempting to, in fact, break what has been a Cabinet convention for a long period of time that serves the purpose of both ministers that are in government and the purposes of former ministers who are now in opposition and may potentially be back in government. I think the best way forward for me is I will be asked to put the leave. I intend to put the leave, and it would not be a surprise to me if the current government did object to it, but that will be a choice for Parliament. I'll hear from Grant Robertson.
Mr. Speaker, just to clarify the point around the convention. So the important element in the convention is that former ministers are given the opportunity to look at those papers and decide whether or not they get back. What Mr. Parker is saying is that on this side of the House, we, as representing those former ministers, are happy for the papers to be released. So that's the element of the convention. The second part of it is then what the government chooses to do, and that is what we will then be testing through the House. So the convention is met by what has been done here.
Does the member, the Honourable Simon Bridges, wants to add?
I think in order to be helpful, Mr. Speaker, what also occurs in my second point of the process outside of this place is that there is a Cabinet manual process, and I think in terms of comity or respect between the executive and this Parliament, leave shouldn't be put, and I'll put that to you. I think to propose a helpful alternative to that is that we would certainly be happy as government to see opposition seek to expedite the proper process on this so that the papers in a proper way can be released. But I don't think it is for this place to be doing that when there is a Cabinet manual with rules that do need to be followed through. But they could, and we could foreseeably be doing that in the next day or two in terms of the process outside of this place.
I accept what the Minister is saying, and members may have a chance to exercise their right shortly. The Honourable David, does the Minister
speak the point of order?
The Honourable Phil Goff wants to speak further to this point of order.
Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet convention is that there is confidentiality surrounding documents that are released to former ministers. They have been released to me. My name and the name of the Honourable Jim Anderton appears on that. Both of us are happy for these papers. I'm sorry, this is a point of order. Can I be heard in silence, please? Both of the
Order.
Both of the ministers concerned are happy for these papers to be released in full without deletions, and the only procedure that normally follows is that the government then formally does it under the Official Information Act. So we're not actually breaking the convention if the government agrees to the release in the House now.
And this is the final point, because I don't think I need further help, but the Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I think the House, and the House of course is in charge of its own destiny, but the House needs to think through that this is a clear process in the Cabinet manual for this. I think it's excellent that the ex-ministers have made the call that they are prepared to have those papers released, but an appropriate approach would be to respond to the executive and say we're happy for those papers to be released and for that to actually occur, and then we don't have any risk of upsetting the process of the Cabinet manual or existing convention, Mr Speaker. And I would suggest that that's the correct approach for the opposition members to take, rather than the approach that they're seeking to take, which is to circumvent that process.
Order. The point of order, the Honourable David Parker.
Yes, I seek leave, firstly, to table paper livestock exports for slaughter and arrangements for sheep exports for slaughter to Saudi Arabia dated 3 August 2007, paper ERD 0714.
Order. On the basis that I'm satisfied the convention has been fulfilled by the points made by the opposition former ministers who have said they're happy with it, I'm going to put the leave, and it's over for the House to decide. The House is the master of its own destiny in this case. Leave is sought to table that particular cabinet paper. Is there any objection? There is objection. Order. Order. Order.
Point of order.
Point of order, the Honourable David Parker.
I seek leave to table a paper ERD 0727, which is dated 16 October 2007 and is titled New Zealand's Requirements for Livestock Exported for Slaughter.
And leave is sought to table that particular document. Is there any objection? There is objection. Point of order, the Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Just by way of clarification, can we now confirm that the opposition have consented to that release and the executive can proceed without any further correspondence from the opposition?
Oh, that's so.
Point of order.
I'll hear from the Honourable David
you've
Parker.
already heard that from Mr Goff.
Yeah. Order. What the executive decides to now do with this matter is their business.